Hey guys, welcome back to Databank reading. We are on the Nihility characters and I'm going to be reading Jaoqiu, Black Swan and the new character for erudition called Anaxa. First off, we're going for Jaoqiu. Character introduction. A faction healer and counselor from the Jianzhou Yaojing, often greets people with a smile on his face and a scheme in his heart. Born into a prestigious alchemy commission family, he once withdrew from practicing medicine due to a broken heart. However, he returned to the field to treat the Merlin's Claw, General Wei Zhao. Skilled in the study of alchemical prescription that views food as medicine, especially those that induce a sensation of spiciness, they invented a cauldron-based medicinal formula known as the 9 squared grid. His character details are the same. I don't own any of the 3 characters, so I will have to be reading them from the Honkai starrail.fandom.com wiki. So if you ever want to read them again yourself, there's also consumables and character mentions. There's missions and events, there's the light cones. There's a lot of stuff on that site that might actually be interesting for you guys. Character story part 1. Rain-Sore Lake, the Yaojing. In the misty rain, yellow floating hard foliage and blossoms decorated the lake as frolicking fishes leaped out of the water from time to time. At this lakeside abounds with lotuses and water chestnuts. Old turtles basking on the pebbles were an everyday sight. A Foxian youth with a basket for storing harvested ingredients on his back rowed a small boat, raindrops running down his ear before being lightly flicked away. As he scooped up floating hard plants and picked out lotus flowers, he peeled open wild rice stems and threw them casually into his mouth. So sweet and refreshing, it delights the palate. After harvesting the plants, he steered the boat to shore and crossed the lakeside with graceful ease before changing into the attire of a healer. Inside the apothecary, misty steam hung in the air as tantalizing aromas filled the premises. Your pulse has become more stable since you last visited, but you should still work on getting more rest and nourishing your body. Care to try one of the new medicines? With a smile, he put away the wrist cushion and golden needles, bringing out a whole new set of medicinal tools. As the elderly man gazed at the 9 squared cauldron in front of him, he couldn't help but break into a wry smile. Others can hardly even invent a few decent medicines in their lifetimes, yet a single day is all you need to achieve that and more. You flatter me, master. This cauldron-based medicinal formula is called the 9 square grid. Not only is it simple to make, but its effects are also wondrous. The youth poured out the ingredients from his basket, cleaning them quickly before slicing them. As he did, the stock inside the cauldron began to bubble and boil. A tail of euphorbia, 3 mace of bitterwood, and 4 cache of desert castanche. Boil with big bones, then pair with deep sea shellfish to dispel the bitter flavor. The concoction can aid one in achieving peaceful slumber. As for the white loach and threadfin snapper, their constitution-warming properties are great for nourishing the ki and blood. We need only dip the slices in boiling water for 2 to 3 seconds. These green mushrooms, silver needle tea leaves, and snow lotus roots were all carefully cultivated with deconction racks by me at Rain-Sore Lake. Not only are they tasty and refreshing, but they also offer medicinal purposes. As glistening fish slices with boiling soup, both master and disciple enjoyed a delicious meal that quickly made them forget about the damp coldness of a rainy day. In the aftermath of the meal, the older man put down his chopsticks, seemingly having realized something. This meal that I've just had, the 9 squared grid, it seems there's more you wish to tell me with this meal than what I thought. The youth stood up and solemnly bowed. Master, you are perceptive indeed. I have long since made up my mind about whether to join the Alchemy Commission. While the Alchemy Commission is a good place to be, it is ultimately not compatible with my wish to practice medicine for the masses. The only place that requires a healer the most is undeniably the battlefield where the Yaojing forces are. Among the many schools of teachers, only practitioners of the Ranzi school, such as you and me, place emphasis on the tenet of food is medicine, using the joy of food to alleviate the pain of ailments. The 9 square grid, with its convenience and effectiveness in dispelling the cold that ails one's constitution was especially made by me to provide succor to those on the battlefield. For those who yet breathe, there is nothing more important than the preservation of life. If I could deliver the people from pain and suffering with a mere medicinal formula, the Alchemy Commission's time and effort spent on growing my talents would be well spent indeed. The elder looked as though he wanted to talk the youth out of his decision, but he ultimately decided against it. The battlefield is a bitterly cold place. Don't forget to bring more food that warm the constitution ere you depart. Character Story Part 2. The Yaojing's troops perennially fought on other outer planets. He continued to improve the cauldron-based medicinal formula in a multitude of ways so that he could adapt it to the increasingly challenging, complex, and unpredictable environments that the soldiers must brave. The unusual yet profoundly effective formulation his medicine came in soon made his name a common utterance across the forces of the Yaojing, winning in the trust of officers and soldiers alike. Such achievements nevertheless failed to assuage his heavy heart. Every day, when the bugle call for departure sounded, he knew the wounded that he had nursed back to health would have to step onto the battlefield once more. Every day, when he heard the footsteps of returning troops, he knew he would be missing a few more familiar faces among those that gathered around his cauldron. Just recently, even the soldier who always returned to camp yelling about wanting to eat from the cauldron had departed this world for good. He finished up the day's consultation and left the field hospital, letting out a long sigh. The cold did not bother him in the slightest, even with the snow flurries pelting at him. When the bugle call sounded yet again, the army was equipped and ready to depart. The field hospital will soon be burdened with grievously wounded soldiers like before. Yes, he has the skills to bring the wounded back from the gates of hell, but those young lives still end up lost in the endless ravenous war. Every night he would always talk with General Jaoqiu. This day, however, he was uncharacteristically silent for a long time. Oh my god, that word. Uncharacteristically. Yes, there we go. Recently, I have been thinking, if the patients that I nurse to health are destined to hurtle towards death once more, what is my purpose as a healer? A dull cry sounded from the direction of the wards. It was only after blinking several times that he realized both his eyes had gone dry, probably since some time ago. So dry that he no longer had tears to shed. Character Story Part 3. It was time once again for the army to move out. However, grisly bodies of the dead, the perpetually high death rate, ongoing blasts of artillery fire, and a monstrous creature that appeared in the air were all portents that heralded a devastating war unlike anything that ever occurred before. Until one day, when a towering cloud-peered telescope that bore the wills of the trillions of living beings aboard the Jiangsu finally received a response from them. A searing blast appeared out of nowhere, obliterating the weak abominations of abundance into a miasma of blood. A light so blindingly bright that tore the sky dome asunder. Even mountains and hills that the light reached turned into dust. He saw the abominations of abundance and members of the Jiangsu Legion that were slow to retreat crumble to dust. He heard about how the girl always by General Yueyu's side weaved in and out of the annihilated enemy ranks, attempting to bring the remaining soldiers back with her. Before the wave of light could reach them, he dashed in with every last ounce of his strength to save that young lady before losing his consciousness in the afterglow of the obliterating light. Tattered banners thrashed in the wind as the few remaining survivors gathered around the bonfire in silence. Clank, clank, clank. A strong gust of wind swept across, rolling a battered cauldron along the barren ground. His body should have long acclimated to the frigid cold climate given the time he had been stationed on this planet, but he had never felt this cold before. He was cold from the inside out. In a seasoned manner, he picked up the iron receptacle, filled it with water, and brought it to a boil before throwing in scraps of leftover ingredients. It's still so cold. The survivors ate their food in silence. Maybe I should add some spice. With that, he retrieved the medicine pouch that he always carried with him. Not spicy enough. He added more chili peppers to the mix. Not there yet. He emptied every spice he had on him into the cauldron. That's it. As oil from the chili bubbled, he picked up a herb from the cauldron to taste. When his already numbed sense of taste finally picked up on the spice, a jolt of current ran through him. He felt alive for the first time. It was a sensation that bordered on pain. That's one thing that I can kind of relate to. I'm really bad with spicy food. And for example, there's these crisps that are like sweet chili or something like that from Sensations, and I tried it and I just couldn't. Just one was a bit too much already for me, and I had to go grab the milk because I just couldn't handle the spice. Character story part 4. Rain, Soar Lake, the Yaojing. In the misty rain, yellow floating hard foliage and blossoms decorated the lake as frolicsome fishes leaped out of the water from time to time. At this lakeside abounds with lotuses and water chestnuts. Old turtles basking on the pebbles were an everyday sight. With a herb basket on his back, he rowed a small boat out into the middle of the lake as the falling rain slid down the back of his ear, soaking his clothing wet. Scooping up floating heart plants, picking out lotus flowers, and peeling open wild rice shoots, sending them all into his mouth to taste. Very similar to the first character story part, but still a little bit different, I notice. Ugh, too bland. He shook his head. Mister, there's an elderly man looking for you over at the restaurant. He claimed to be an old friend of yours. A disciple called out from the other side of the lake, to which he sighed and rowed his boat back to shore. He is, of course, aware of the visitor's intentions, but he had long grown weary of resuming his old profession as a healer. Master, are you here today to try out the dishes cooked with Rainstar Eatery's cauldron? I must warn you though, we only serve very spicy and insanely spicy food here. The elderly man sighed from his seat at the table. I remember you preferred bland food before joining the army. As he read at the cauldron, a glimmer of nostalgia flashed across his eyes. People tend to change. The elder picked up a slice of threadfin snapper, scalding it in the bubbling red broth. I should try it then, but know that I did not come for that. Do you still remember the girl you saved? Fei Zhao, that's her name. The girl that followed the former general everywhere. She's since assumed the role of General de Yaojing and now requires a healer by your side. There is no one more suitable for that position than you. He smiled wryly, for some reason recalling the sharp pain he felt on his tongue that fateful day. Those I saved only ended up as another dead soul when they dived back into the battlefield. I prefer to no longer engage in such futile efforts. The elder placed his chopsticks down and shook his head. You misunderstand me. This time, I'm not here to persuade you to heal the masters in this world. I'm here because I want this general to heal your despondent heart. She will tell you what the true purpose of a healer is. So, when they're talking about the food, it's like a bubbling pot with some sort of oil soup sauce thing in it. And they are boiling or cooking the stuff in that pot and then taking it out, which sounds a lot like the hot pot thing that I've had before, where you had different sauces with different flavors on the table and you just have to boil your food in it. Maybe they're talking about some sort of hot pot. The next character is Black Swan, a memo keeper of the Garden of Recollection, an indolent and mysterious soothsayer. Remembrance of men are hers to heed, threads of fates are hers to tug. The character details give a little bit more about it. It says, a mysterious and elegant soothsayer, she often wears a warm smile and is willing to patiently listen to the words of others, thus using such means as a pretext to enter memories and gain omniscience over certain matters. A lady passionate about collecting unique memories, yet the thoughts that guide her are hard to glean. So the character introduction and the character details for Black Swan specifically are a different thing actually. This one says, a mysterious and elegant soothsayer, while the character introduction says an indolent and mysterious soothsayer. Character story part 1. She's quite an unusual kid, and I could sense it from the day she was born. It felt like nature itself was celebrating her arrival. The birds chirped, the moon and sun were together in the sky, The cards in my hand seemed to hint at the emergence of a soul steeped in nostalgia. Right from her early years, she had a fascination with stories from the past. She would delve deep into contemplating our origins, our creators, and even the very beginning of the world. Her questions would leave even the most erudite scholars scratching their heads. Sure, some other kids might poke fun at her for asking such deep questions, but aren't those questions important? Life is akin to a winding labyrinth, where memories serve as our sole companions. A mother's memories. Afflicted with amnesia, her mother struggled with forgetfulness, making it difficult for her to recognize her family or recall recent events. Clutching the diagnosis of amnesia, she held her mother tightly, attempting to read aloud from the latter's diary. Her mother was physically present, but where was she in the realm of consciousness? She stayed by her mother's side until the end of her life, realizing that her mother had been fading away as her memories became fragmented. If her own memories of her mother were to ever become blurred as well, her mother would completely slip away from her. Life is akin to a winding labyrinth, where memories serve as our sole companions. For the first time, she comprehended the profound meaning behind these words. Character Story Part 2. I arrived on this planet as an explorer. My usual tasks involved observing the flow of rivers, examining the materials of the city's bricks and tiles, analyzing the steepness of roads, and documenting the number of distribution of chimneys. These duties aligned with people's imagination of preserving a planet's memories. However, such efforts were far from sufficient. Once I started working in secrecy, I would often come across that girl. Sometimes, sunlight would dance through the leaves as she walked beneath them, disappearing around corners once the street lamps illuminated the surroundings. On other occasions, her gaze would follow a carrier pigeon, which left the high priest's quarters every Wednesday night, only to return the following morning to the palace chief of the guards, a non-political adversary of the high priest. Occasionally, she would quietly observe rain trickling into sewers scarred by artillery fire from the opposite shore, and sometimes waves would dampen her skirts, while an elderly woman washing close by the river recounted the story of the previous sovereign and his 5 illegitimate children. Few individuals apart from us understand that the planet conceals and safeguards its memories in such a manner. I trailed behind her until we reached a rock on the moor. I knew that it was the time to invite her. "What do you see?" I asked, in a form visible to her. She pointed at a patch of weeds and the lingering traces. "I see a stone, perhaps once part of a fireplace, but it must hold more significance." I nodded and assisted her in removing the weeds and dirt from the crevices of the stone. "It was once a monument," she murmured, gently caressing the engravings that adorn its surface. "Indeed, but the memory holds more significance." Thus, I revealed to her that the stone on the moor had once served as a fireplace, a monument before that, a flower bed, and even an altar. And before all that, it had simply been a stone on the moor. What price would I pay if I want to witness those memories? People will remain oblivious to your presence unless you are willing to reveal yourself, just as people fail to acknowledge the existence of black swans until they encounter one. Yeah, just like that. An explorer's memories. Above explorer, it even says memo keeper. Like in the other Databank readings where it says them, or then it says the name of a certain entity or deity. Memo keepers travel to numerous planets, collecting the memories of each city they encounter. They are careful not to leave any trace of their presence, ensuring that nobody remembers them, unless they come across someone with the potential to become a memo keeper, whom they then take away from the city into the vast expanse of the stars. Character Story Part 3. Many individuals obsess over the glory of the past and aspire to become memo keepers, longing to live within their memories. Such individuals often degenerate into unbridled cremators, distorting memories to suit their preferences. However, she is different. I've sensed her unwavering determination and profound respect for memories themselves. Following tradition, I asked her 3 questions before making her a memo keeper. "Are you willing to dedicate your entire life to collecting memories?" "I am." "Are you prepared to relinquish your physical form and accept the transformation?" "I am." If one day you cease to exist, what legacy will you leave behind for the world? My memories. They are seeds from the past and will be reborn in the future. Memories come in various forms. Some are trivial and heartwarming, while others are grand and expansive. Some are gentle and meek, while others are wild and untamed. When she becomes a memo keeper, her memories became tranquil and serene, like the calm waves that finally found their destined harbor. A memo keeper's memories. What comes to your mind? The memo keeper asked. As she opened her eyes, fragments of memories swirled around her. People tend to believe they are facing the present and the future, yet fail to realize that we are all, in fact, moving toward the past. Character Story Part 4. Location, Penacony. Date, blank. Guests, blank. A sorrowful memory from Redacted. This opulent memory, adorned with ostentation and longing, conceals an unknown sadness that will linger for years, influencing its owner for an extended period. A joyous memory from blank. This dramatic memory is filled with vibrant hues of joy, confusion, and funny elements, but it can hardly be called true happiness. Such is the future it portrays. A regrettable memory from blank. The fleeting happiness in this memory is beautiful yet short-lived, like a shooting star from faded ashes. Cherish your limited moments, dear guest, for it informs me that it shall soon vanish. A vague memory from blank. This memory is faint, chaotic, and disorienting, akin to an endless downpour with no respite in sight. I yearn to capture the point it points to, whether it be filled with rain or sunshine. A list of Black Swan's memories. The next piece of text is a native Penacony's resident's memories. I saw the figure of a woman, gracefully leaping and transforming amidst images and patterns. No, I'm not crazy, I didn't see her. I remember her voice, its velvety texture and the colorful cards in her hands, imbued with some sort of magic. Oh, and she invited me to partake in fortune-telling. She said, whether you want to foresee happiness or misfortune in the future, retrieve lost possessions, or seek unexpected gains, all I need is an honest story for the past and the future are overlapped on the same point of a single circle. My head spun and she exuded some gentleness. I talked so much to her and she patiently listened to my ramblings, and then following her divination results I retrieved a lost mirror for a guest of the hotel. Oh, you ask what I said to her? Oh, nothing important, just some rumors about the past. Currently, she journeys through various realms as a diviner, uncovering memories intertwined with her path and aeons. She believes that those memories are as enduring as gems, impervious to the eroding forces of oblivion. Numerous memo-keepers have ventured to Penacony, only to discover it is a mere illusory mirage dancing upon the water's surface. However, dreams. They represent a distorted form of memories. I shall delve into its depths and catch a fleeting glimpse of the buried memories before these memo snatchers and cremators arrive. So not memo keepers, but memo snatchers. That's a funny name for them. It seems like Black Swan is going around giving people like a future reading, a divination, to then try and claim like memories of them. And they don't even realize that they're doing it because they start rambling and they just think that it's a normal thing. Maybe? I'm not exactly sure. The last character for today will be Anaxa from Erudition. The grove of Epiphany, where knowledge flourishes and philosophers are born. Yet here stands Anaxagoras, the blasphemer, the Chrysal's heir who challenges the core flame of reason. He is questioned. Would you defy the prophecy even if you must bear infamy and insist on driving the thorns of doubt into the sacred tree of wisdom? Ridiculous. In a world full of lies, I am the only truth. Character details are the same for this character. Character story part 1. You were born in a remote city-state. Your parents departed early, leaving only your older sister by your side, barely supporting the family on the meager income she earned from taming animals. You've been reclusive and isolated since childhood. While your peers frolicked on the grassy fields, you would hide alone in the shadows of trees and picked up fallen leaves from the ground. Why do the dromeses not fly toward the sky? You look upon the dromes that grew up alongside you, mumbling to yourself. Maybe because these dromes used to be a nerd in its past life too. You've heard those words spoken all too often, but you never understood why it was used as a form of mockery. If the gods are omnipotent, why do they fear death? What do they fear death? It says, what do they fear death? I think it's supposed to be why? In the temple where sacred teachings are recited, the very thing deemed unquestionable inevitably stirs your thoughts. Out, Anaxa. The furious priest often throws you out of the temple. Your sister never blamed you. Instead, she carved out a portion of her meager income to buy the books and tools you longed for. Screws, heavy pliers, delicate scales. At home you tinkered with these instruments, utterly immersed in the joy of creation. At 5 years old, you were endlessly curious about life. A mechanical bird that sang on its own, a droma's incubator. Artificial flowers that stayed forever vibrant. You boldly declared you'd become the most knowledgeable person in the world. Tuk-tuk. How rare is it for a child's grand boasts to be taken seriously by their family. Later, she heard from passing merchants that there was an academy called the Grove of Epiphany, a sacred place devoted to the pursuit of wisdom. You secretly memorized that name, thinking that if you could one day go there with your sister, life wouldn't be so hard. Later still, she finally managed to raise enough travel funds and asked a merchant friend to give you a ride so you could go study at the Grove. Halfway along the journey, upon hearing that the black tide had struck, you hardly rushed back. The sight of that crowded ruin was truly unbearable to behold. Proud as you are, you even found yourself kneeling on the ground. You weren't praying to the gods, were you? Stop flipping through my mind, you naughty titan. The man snapped out of his reverie, and an emotion, indeterminable, if it was either rage or sorrow, flickered in his right eye. I think he only has the right eye, because he has like a mask on the left side. Character story part 2. This looks like tests. The first test report says number 13. Subject Kreisos Air's golden blood experiment. Materials my blood. So he's doing this research. Records. After purifying the fluid, it resembles liquid gold and reveals a seed-shaped structure under the microscope. Fainted tries while obtaining blood. So he's, I think, there's this thing that if you see blood you can faint. I don't remember the proper name for it though. The next test is number 55. Subject dissecting the soul of Titan creations. Materials 3 dying blank Titan creations. Mercury potion. Adilla flower extract. Records. Experimental subject abruptly went berserk upon dissecting to the core. Fortunately, only I was severely injured. It did not harm anyone else. Subsequently, the alchemy equipment have been refined. The pedigree charts of the souls of blank Titan is nearing completion. Number 144. Subject attempt at the metaphase of the soul fusion. Materials a soul flame donated by a scholar. Titan creations. Records blank my dearest friend. According to your last wishes, your body has been transformed into a flame that incinerates punishment, and your soul has turned into a cornerstone for analyzing titans. The last page of scribbled comments. It's been years since this has happened. The frigidness of death still stirs in my left eye, but I can see souls of humans. That boiling heat is enough to fill the void. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps next year, or perhaps in the next instant, I'll be accused and arrested. There will always be people who want me to lower my head and keep me silent. But sister, I'll always remember that I met you for the last time here. You didn't say anything, but that was enough. I know I did the right thing. Over the past decade, it has always been so. Failure is a stepping stone to success. Anaxa's parapsychology experiment log. The original copy has already been destroyed. Character story part 3. Sages of the Grove. Regarding how some scholars accuse me of the three great sins, academic defamation, corrupting youths, and religious heresy, I don't intend to entertain their cheap tricks, nor will I bother defending myself. However, considering how this might allow everyone to better understand my research, I'll briefly explain it. According to them, I committed the sin of academic defamation when I publicly disparaged the classic research of Titan studies and parapsychology, claiming them to be a black tide of the academic world. Answer me this: was my evaluation incorrect? A study about whether Titans can stand on the head of a pin, and a study that posits? P-O-I-S-I-T-S, posits. A study that posits the nature of souls as water. I don't know if that's what they mean there. They persist until this day because of certain authorities. How is that any different from a mental black tide? I studied in the Grove since I was a child and thoroughly understand that the revolution of ideas can only be achieved through criticism and suspicion. I encourage students to challenge my authority, and this is what they claim to be corrupting youths. Take Finon and Castris, for example. When they first began their studies, they were clueless about how to think and what logic is. Look at them now. They can render me speechless sometimes. If this is what it means to corrupt youths, I cannot imagine what they regard as correct education. As such, some individuals accuse me of having excessively close ties with the flame-chasing Chrysos heirs, claiming that my theories help them seize the core flames. Indeed, I once consulted Tribios about lost history, and both of my most brilliant studies happened to be Chrysos heirs as well. And what of it? I'm also what they call a Chrysos heir, but I've never had blind faith in prophecies. If gods are truly the purest and most eternal beings that have descended above the mortal world, then listen well. The world only has one God, and that is the indestructible truth. Only disciples of truth can continue on this path, and the authorities who proclaim themselves to be sages fear the fall of a god. You suggested that both parties take a step back to de-escalate the situation. My apologies, but I don't intend to do that. On the contrary, I would like to give a word of advice to those who wish to accuse me. My future world will understand me, and all of you who raise accusations against me should be more afraid than me when I await my verdict. An improvised speech by Anaxa during a meeting of the sages. Character story part 4. Even up till today, I still disagree with that bizarre flame chase journey. However, there is one statement that left a deep impression. Losses are constant on the flame chase journey. I never believed that the Chrysos heirs shared the same destiny, but I am undoubtedly also on the path of losses. Yet I have not lost enough. In comparison to what I pursue, I have not lost enough to fulfill the law of equivalent exchange. After I had proposed the theory that the nature of souls of Titans and humans are no different, and that souls are constructed from seeds of wisdom, I have been waiting for a chance to prove it once and for all. Now, the opportunity has presented itself. It came rather unexpectedly, but also right on time. Today I can finally make up for the regret, akin to a calamity for numerous years ago. I gain inspiration from death and should repay as such. My body shall become the vessel to forge the core flames of gods, and my soul shall become the chains that force the gods to bow. That will become the ultimate evidence for my theory. I am incredibly happy now. I once smiled like this when I first created a mechanical bird that could fly in the sky. My hands once trembled like this when I developed a new life through incubation. My future students, if you see these words, it proves that my endeavor has failed at the final step, falling just before the break of dawn. Use my results to the fullest extent and make me the subject of your research. Step over my body and take the torch from my hands. Use me as the firewood to ignite the flames that will bring light to the truth. Do not fear blasphemy. It is already sin to transcend the gods, so what if you become a god? One of the echoes in Anaxa's memories after the grove had fallen, which vanished because nobody discovered it. So he was actually like teaching Castris and the three characters that are Tribios, and what was her name again, the last one? So in the end, even though he was saying that it seemed weird to him to do the flame chase journey, it would actually help him with his research. So, or actually prove that his research is right, which actually is kind of an interesting thing to do. I'm going to call it here though. My voice is starting to go a little bit, as you can probably hear. So this was Anaxa. I also finished Nihility. I think Preservation, depending on the story length, might be split into 2 parts. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to split into 2 parts. Maybe another character will also come out. That way Fu Xuan would have an extra partner. Or maybe I'll add Fu Xuan to, for example, Lingsha. I've did all of the characters of Remembrance already, but as you can see, there are only 3 so far, and then Preservation only has 4, which is like the least number for all of the other ones. Either way, next will be the Preservation characters. I hope you guys enjoyed it so far. I hope you guys have a nice day, good evening, good morning, good night, depending on what time of day you're at. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!